I'm going to be videotaping myself in real time, hopefully learning a piece that some of you are working on. It's the first movement, Evocacion, of the Suite del Recuerdo by José Luis Merlin. This is to demonstrate the procedure that has developed that if you'll follow it, I'm really very, very pleased with the results in my own playing and also in my students' playing. What you need is the music, a pair of scissors, a piece of tape, a roll of tape, music stand, a blank piece of paper, however many pages the piece is going to be, and to have the visual environment as uncluttered as possible. That's very important so that you can focus specifically on exactly what you're going to learn. And what you're going to learn is each segment, often as little as one measure at a time, going from the end of the piece and working backwards towards the front. And that is going to be playing each measure, even if it's a part of a measure, on time and perfect from the very first time through, as strictly as possible. If it means that I will demonstrate various things as we go along, but that is the simple one instruction, really. Play everything on time and perfect, as much as humanly possible. Don't make any mistakes, and if you make a mistake, stop immediately to get the correct movements into both hands, right from the very first exposure to the material. That's the simple thing. And to play it in time, which means that you have to play very, very slowly. And that's totally fine. The paradoxical thing is that by playing so slowly, that is the fastest way to actually work something up into its finished state. You just kind of have to accept that on faith until you do it a few times. Then you will find out for yourself that that's true. I'm just going to launch right into this. The last chord is a nice E minor chord. It's the very last chord in the piece. There's a first measure and a second measure. I'm learning the second measure here. So the measure next to the last measure is one thing to determine is right hand fingering and left hand fingering, certainly. Sometimes it's a little hard to determine that until you play the piece some and see how things fit together. That's okay. I've made changes, learned it one way and made changes. As long as you're doing it on time and perfect, the changes settle in just as well as the first way that you learned it. So I'm just going to, the idea is to play the measure until you get it into your hand and you have it memorized. Then we'll add the next measure going backwards. Okay, I'm going to trust that I've got that. So what I need to do now is paste that. I'm going to reassemble the piece onto my blank piece of paper. And head for the next measure. What I need to do right now is skip over the one measure, which is the first ending. I will deal with that when I work my way back to the second section of the piece. This piece is in two sections. If I had to guess, I would say they're both 8 measures each. gonna fit together. The first ending isn't that different. It's barely any different from the second ending. So kind of get 2 for 1 on that, which is nice. This measure, it's the only measure on the music stand, so I can completely focus on it. And I'm not looking at this whole piece saying, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to get through all of that? I'm only doing what's in front of me. And the only thing that's in front of me is one measure. That's it. The idea is to focus completely on this. This one has a little bit more going on, so it's going to take some fiddling around. I haven't ever learned this piece. I have some students that are working on it with this method. Nobody's gotten actually through to the complete piece. So I'm somewhat familiar with sections of it, but the thing is that my idea with making this tape was to just demonstrate what I would do in order to learn this piece. I'm just going to take this measure from the beginning. So again, the thing to keep in mind is how slowly you need to go in order to play perfectly. And there's a concept that's very easy to incorporate from Jamie Andreas's guitar principles, correct principles of practice for the guitar, which is to pose these. And that gives your hands a little bit of a preview to get in place for what you're doing. So I'm going to need there's 4 notes. Okay, what's going to come next? I have to bar the 7th fret. My ring finger is going from the F sharp to the G, and I don't need the entire bar right at the downbeat. I think that's an important thing to keep in mind. I do need it on the upbeat of the first beat. So I need it soon, but I don't need it immediately, which is to say that there's a sequence that goes on. I'm going to go... So the thing is that I really don't need to play through the last measure over and over because that's really quite straightforward. This one is more complex though. That may take a little bit to get into the hand. What I would point out, just as a reference, there are various kind of references that you can make and help you get yourself. If you've gone through the four finger combinations, for example, we see this, for example, if it were descending, 3, 4, 1, 2. We're not playing 1 here, so it's not going to sound right, but that is the exact same shape. Or ascending would be 2, 1, 4, 3. If you've worked through any of those, here it is right here in the context of a piece, and so your hand's going to remember that shape. One more time. Etc. Okay, I think I've got that one pretty well. I've got to leave room on my page for that first ending measure, so that's going to go here, the one I just did. Okay. Moving back to one measure, I see that it's barring the 5th fret. one measure right on the stand. Okay, let's see. This is interesting. I'm posing it. This is a shape like this. You don't really need to bar the whole, all 6 strings. It would depend on what comes before. But tell you the truth, I'm not even going to look right now because I want to keep this as simple as possible. But to me already, I know that shape. Probably if you think about it, you have seen that shape somewhere else. We have it here as a D chord. At the end of the soar study in D major, you wind up in this shape. That shows up a fair amount. Well, that shape is exactly the same as this, but with a bar. So these are the kinds of things that I associate in my head that help me keep track of things. This happens to be a F major triad harmony. Okay, so that's what's going on there. So this is pretty straightforward again. We've got a melody note. It's basically just arpeggiating this chord. That's what's going on there. The main thing probably is to just get this chord in your hand, to be able to feel it comfortably and accurately. If you don't want to do the whole bar, you can do a half bar. To me, I don't know, I just feel more secure having this there. I'm going to figure that I've got that. We shall see. If I need to review it, I'll review it, that's all. But so far, it's fallen into place pretty well. Let's see. I'm going to cut out the first ending and put it on the page because that's just going to start kind of getting in the way here. I'll deal with that, like I say, once I get back to the beginning of this section. If you follow along, hopefully you can pause this and learn this right along with me. Hopefully it would speed up your time. Definitely, this is the same process that gets applied to every single piece. And it works. So that's why I'm demonstrating this, and it'd be very interesting to see as people work through this piece how this applies. I can see this is going to be kind of an interesting thing. I'm seeing here that there's a bar at the 7th fret that they're calling for quite a few measures. I don't know. I'm going to have to see whether or not that's something that I want to do. Again, posing this, I see what, basically posing meaning getting your fingers in place without having to play it. The right hand is really quite straightforward, so I'm not concerned about that. This is going to be so I see that, again, it is worthwhile having the bar because I need to hold down the 5th string and the 1st string. Okay, there's 8 notes in this measure. The first 4 are really pretty straightforward. They're like this. It's a little, it's really pretty similar. Oh, I see, right. Okay, these fingers are placed differently. That's okay. So, I want to really get them in my ear and in my hand in a group of 4 here, because I want to, as accurately as possible, as quickly as possible, I want to memorize, especially the sequence of the notes. And the last 4 are in a little different sequence than the first 4 in terms of the arpeggiation. So the last 4 are okay, so let's see. That shift is something that may take some working out. You're here. Got to get that more solid. I missed that note twice. Okay. I think I've got that. One thing about practicing this piece at a slow speed is that you're holding that bar for a long time, so you're probably going to need to rest your hand. Now, from time to time, I don't have any problem with leaving the assembled page up on the stand if you think you're going to need to refer to it again. But ideally, you're going to have it in your hand and not need to look at it anymore. That's ideal. I don't know. If I need to look at it again, I either have it on the stand or I have it down here on the floor. But the main thing is I want to be as strict as possible about being on time and perfectly, and memorizing it right off the bat. I would say I've got that for now. Yes. If I need to review it any more thoroughly, fine. But I think I've got it. We shall see. Okay, let's see. This is interesting. This is another shape very similar to, well, it is identical actually to the F chord I was talking about. This F chord is going to be up here to G. Okay, so just you're going to probably have to allow, as you're working through this, time to rest your hand. Because of the bar and playing it slowly. Once you play it up to speed, I don't think it's going to be a problem, but this is also very good practice for a bar, right in context here with a piece, which to me is always the best way to learn this stuff. So, that's the first four notes. There's a double note to begin with. Then you do this kind of funny little walking back with your pinky. And Okay, so we're here. Without making a huge narration on each thing, I'll just move forward here. Again, it all depends on if I need to review this. I'm kind of absorbing this pretty fast. The question is the retention. So if I need to go back and really review again any of those measures, that's fine. It does, to me, it takes a certain amount of repetition just to get this in the hands. And I'm getting through this without a whole lot of repetition on each of these measures for right now, but that also isn't a substitute for really repeating something very accurately. You get a sense from this, and it's a great feeling that your fingers are going to the right places by habit. And that's a tremendous feeling, which is just taking the idea of making the habitual mistakes and letting that work for you instead of against you. And it does work. There's no question about it. So, excuse me. Even though I'm playing through this accurately on time and everything, I still feel like it's not completely in my hands or in my memory yet. But I can proceed also. When you go with this pinky, then you need to place these fingers accurately, etc. Okay, so we're still barred here at the 7th fret. I'm just going to play the first 4 notes. Now, to me, harmonically, what's going on there is this is a D7, and then it goes to a G. You want to try to hear these connections because it helps everything get into your ear and into your hands. This is a D7 with an F sharp in the bass. But the harmonic function is just D7 to a G. So that's what that is here. In the next measure, it's going to that. E minor, well actually this is that's another thing entirely, but that's okay. Wherever you can, you want to get the ear training and the physical memory, the chord shapes, any of that stuff. Everything all goes together, and that's the most important thing that you have in the context of a piece. You can study theory and all that stuff till you're blue in the face, but it doesn't amount to a hill of beans aside from book knowledge unless you actually apply it to a piece. And it can be applied in a very practical basis, as long as you know, ask yourself, what's going on there? that doesn't sound like it's settled. That's going to resolve to, that's what's going on. Okay, so Pinky's got a lot to do there at the end of that measure. First of all, you want to pose this 4 notes. Then you're going to add that. So your pinky's got a lot to do in three notes there. In the second half of this, your ring finger's already here. Pinky lifts up to the first string, then it goes down to here. So that movement really, you probably want to isolate that and just make sure very slowly. If you go slow enough, you will get it. Really that slow. So interesting. Okay, I'm going to rest my hand a little bit. That's the end of the section which has the bar at the 7th fret. I'm going to move on. Again, I don't really feel like I've got it 100% in my hands. It will take some more just repetition. However, I feel like I can move on. Until it starts falling apart, I'm just going to move on with it, basically. And if and when it starts falling apart, I'm just going to stop very quickly without making a bunch of mistakes and review and solidify it more so that I do get it into my hands again. But even with just the number of repetitions I've done already, it's in my hands. It's getting there. It's just that it feels like programming a computer. I don't know how to program a computer, but the idea is that you are building in these repetitions so that they're accurately repeated each time. Let's see, this looks interesting. The first 4 notes look pretty straightforward. And then, oh, I see. Okay, so interesting. Okay, so to me, this looks like an A minor going to a D7. If you know about cycle of fifths, this is exactly what it is. It's an A minor going to a D, G, G, to a C, to an F. Then it makes this interesting turn to a B and then back to E minor. So that's what's going on harmonically. Physically, Okay?